Oh, hi there. Check out those mallards. Hey guys, Brett for Topo Ranger. Well, spring is in the air today. It's warm, birds are out, ducks are out. So I decided what better way to celebrate the hopefully soon to be coming spring than to come check out a spring here not far from my house. What I'm standing in right now is basically a spring house. But unlike a lot of spring houses on farms, constructed of wood, this one is actually made out of concrete. It almost looks like some type of bomb shelter. There you go. That's a good view right there. For my research, this is a fault spring, which basically means there's a fault running underneath, basically running underneath the town of Hellam here in York County. The backbone of the town is built over limestone. I think it's Kinzer's limestone. And there's a fault that runs through it, and over the years, rainwater has trickled down through the limestone and carved out a channel along the fault. And it comes out right here. Because there's a fault, there's a lot of fracturing, there's a lot of crushing and grinding along this fault, and that has led to the formation of a lot of what I think are quartz crystals, or maybe it's calcite, I'm not sure. But you can see them right here. Someone's been collecting them here on the shelf. It's just this pure white crystalline rocks. As you can see, the spring run runs down here and it connects with Crutz Creek there. Here's just a huge chunk of it right here. And this stuff, being not very susceptible to chemical weathering, just kind of wears out of the limestone, and you just get these huge blocks, small and big, left behind. We're at the base of a little ridge here in Hellam, and there's an apartment complex up there. Now this is a good example here of, let's get some good lighting here, of a vein, right, running through a piece of limestone. And they happen there because when the fault creates these little voids, water rushes in, water that's rich in certain types of minerals, and then it crystallizes in the cracks and the fissures. And because there's a fault, there's a lot of these cracks and fissures, and then therefore there is a lot of this quartz. And what's interesting here is that if you look at the bed of the spring run, which is right here, let me get some of this stuff out of here. You'll see those little kind of greenish rocks there. These are all the quartz. See that? They just have some algae on them and stuff, but they're white. And you can see they're all sprinkled throughout the gravel on the bed of this spring run. Here's a nice white piece right here. just laying in the water. So the spring has a pretty nice flow. It's not huge, but pretty good. And what we're going to do today is we are going to probe this little opening. As you can see right there, that's where the majority of the water emits from this little conduit right here from under the ridge. There is a little space back there. I poked around in here before, but I never had the ability to stick a camera inside there like I do now. I will put my underwater housing on just so my camera doesn't get wet. Hopefully that doesn't make it too big that I can't stick it up in there. And you can see right there, there's a vein. There's a crystal vein right there. See that? Right like that. So what we're going to do is I might dig out some of this gravel right here, and then get my light out, and then we're going to probe this little spring here and see if we can't find anything on the other side, or just see where the water comes out maybe 3 or 4 feet under this ridge. Okay, so let's get started. Since I got my light, which is really a construction work light, but I use it for just lighting, I'm going to set this puppy up right at the face of the cliff here so we can have a little more lighting, better light situation here. Again, this is a 2500 lumens. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's nice. You can really see the bedrock here. And you can actually see some of the fault lines, the way the stone is crushed. Some of the water does come out of here. And we'll try to probe that too. You can see that goes back in there. But I think most of the flow comes out of here. And you can hear it back there. Water's really clear. Temperature's probably about 50. So first thing I'm going to do is get some of this gravel out of here. See if we can't make the spot, because I'm going to stick the probe right in here. Alright, I got it cleaned out a little bit. What I'm doing now is I'm just putting this hammer up in here, because I can feel some rocks up in there. I want to try to get some of those bigger ones down if I can. There we go, see that? There's one right there. That thing's just lurking in there. The more stuff you get out of here, the better shot we'll have it. Seeing what's back up in there. Oh! The walls are caving in on me. Before I put the housing on, I'm just going to do a little informal probe here. Just to see. There's the water right there. It's coming out of that crack. But I can't get up any higher than this because the ceiling's right there. The water is also coming in that direction. Alright, so we just probed it, and basically it looks like it goes, there's a little pool right beyond the overhang, and then there's a very small passage, not much bigger than that, where the water, it sounds like it's dropping out of something larger down and then through that small little restriction passage, and then that's when it hits this pool right here and then flows out. This one over here, I don't hear anything coming out of that, and we did probe that too, but that didn't, that narrowed down really fast. So if we're thinking about, well, is there a cave beyond there? It's possible. I think one thing you could probably do is, to be honest, this whole thing right here looks, right here, looks kind of like a passage that's just been filled with sediment. You could try to dig directly in there. Okay, I'm just going to put the camera down here. And you viewers at home, listen for a second, and you tell me what you hear. What I hear there is I hear two things. I hear the water coming down that little rock slide into the pool that's right at the spring level, and then a little farther in the distance you hear water dropping down into the beginning of that little passage in what sounds to be like a larger space. There's two very distinct sounds here and then something going here, so who knows, right? But anyway, I've always been curious as to just what's right under that first lip there, so at least I got to check that out today. And I got to share this cool little spot with you guys. And it is really just a glorious day. So that's going to wrap it up for episode 18. I'm not sure what I would call it. I don't know what the name of this spring is, if there is one. Like I said before, research I've done says this is a fault spring, water coming out of a fault. Is there something behind there? Who knows? Probably. Could be too small to get into. Could be big enough to crawl through. Who knows? Maybe we'll come back in a future date and dig a little more aggressively and see if we can't get the camera a little bit farther and see what's going on there. But for right now, I'm going to continue my hike here in beautiful Emig Park, and that's gonna be it for today. So this is Brett for Topo Ranger, signing out.